Hello, this is John Locke. Today I want to talk with you about why you can't rank for just anything that you want to. With enough consistency, persistence, and dedication toward your SEO goals, you definitely can rank for most of the things that you're going to try and rank for. There's a specific thing that I want to look at today, and that's wanting to rank for a whole laundry list of terms without doing the work or without having a clear expectation of what it takes to meet those goals. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, a lot of times I'll talk to prospects and I'll just ask them for a list of keywords that they think that they want to rank for. And oftentimes they'll come back with a whole laundry list of things that they want to rank for. Nothing wrong with that. You have to realize that each keyword phrase that's in your list, you're going to have to do the work for that. And here's what I mean. The most important thing to remember is if for everything that you want to rank for, you still have to put the words in the page. And ideally, you're going to have a separate page for each keyword phrase that you're trying to rank for. You can't have a 1-page or a 5-page or even a 10-page site and try and rank for 100 keywords because it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. And I'll give you a couple examples. Recently, I had a manufacturer reach out to me, and they manufacture a specific type of material. They do a lot of products with this material. That was one of the things on their keyword list, and I know that they were just spitballing and throwing out some ideas. But the specific thing that they deal in, what's number one, and everything that's on page 1 of Google for that is informational. For example, the Wikipedia definition of that type of material is number 1. There's some scientific definitions of that type of material. I don't even think there's an e-commerce result on page 1 for that. And so that's what I mean. And I'll give you another example. This is from a presentation I seen a couple of years ago that Will Reynolds did. Will Reynolds of Seer Interactive that he did, where he was talking about a client that they were working with where they were trying to rank for cloud computing. And the goal was that they wanted to sell cloud computing packages and service and software as a service, but everything that was on page 1 for cloud computing was actually the definition of cloud computing. And so when the company made a informational page about what cloud computing is so people could understand it, then that company was ranking in page 1 for that. And I'll give you a last example. This is some work that I did with an agency several years ago. They would turn to me for kind of the more SEO related stuff because they were more the design side of things. They had a client that we all got on a conference call. I think at the time they wanted to sell health courses. I want to say that it was like yoga. It might have been something else, but the bottom line is they had a bunch of courses that they wanted to sell. They had a laundry list of about 200 keywords that they wanted to rank for, but they only had maybe like 6 or 7 pages that were not behind a paywall. And I said, you're not going to rank for all these because you're not creating separate content for that. Google wants to rank individual pages that are targeted directly at a specific keyword phrase. Like if people are just doing a general search, they're either looking for a company that sells something like that nearby, and that's what's going to return, or they're looking for a definition. For example, if you Google real estate or if you Google life insurance or something like that, you're going to get the results of people who sell that close to you or maybe a definition. But that's generally what you're going to get, and it's usually going to be big brands over smaller brands. So in the same way, you're not going to rank for all these different things unless you really go out and build a lot of content, in-depth content for each thing that you're trying to rank for. A small site is not going to cut it. You have to invest in a content strategy of building out robust, in-depth, best-in-class content if you're going to rank for those specific things. But if you commit to doing that, then Google is going to reward you, especially if you're adding more to the conversation than what other pages out there that are already ranking are doing. Another thing that I want to address is it's very hard to go against the grain of what Google wants to rank and what people are searching for, what they actually want to find as a result. And like I was saying before, if everything on page 1 of Google is an informational result, then that's what people want to see. In the same way, if everything for a given search term is a e-commerce result, then that's what you want to have. One of the things that we do in an SEO audit is we look at your list of keywords, we look at like what you're trying to rank for, and then we look at what's actually on page 1 of Google and why it's there. And one of the things that we try and identify for each one of those pages is the actual searcher intent. What is the searcher trying to find? So it's easier to go with the flow of the current than trying to swim against the current. And the last thing that I want to address in this video when I'm talking about you can't just rank for anything you want. Google actually puts your website into a category of expertise. Google basically tries to identify what your site is about. Now, once it identifies what your site is about, it's going to be really hard to break out of that and try and expand it into this other totally different category. So for example, if your site is about manufacturing, then Google's going to identify it. This site's about manufacturing. If your site is about auto repair or auto parts, then that's what it's about. If you try and start ranking for something completely different and off the wall, off in left field from that, you're not going to be able to rank for it because Google has already identified your site as having expertise in a specific area, and it's already put you into a category. If you want to rank for something completely different, it's better to just make a whole different site, in my opinion. To sum it up, if you have a one-page site, you're not going to rank for 45 different terms if none of those terms are mentioned anywhere on the page. If you have a 5-page site, you're not going to rank for 100 different terms if none of them are mentioned anywhere on your site. That's what I'm saying. Google needs clues. It can't just rank you because you want to be ranked. You have to actually go out and create the content that you want to rank for. Otherwise, Google's not going to rank you for those specific pages. It can't just give it to you. You have to actually go out and do the work. My name is John Locke. My business is Lockdown Design and SEO. We help manufacturing and industrial firms with their SEO. We help them get more organic traffic to their site, and as a result, you get more requests for quotes. If you have an SEO question that you'd like to see us answer, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. We'll do our best to answer it out for you. If you're getting value from this channel, go ahead and subscribe, and until next time, peace. If you don't have a page for it, you're not going to rank for it.